Hello, I'm Ros Atkins. Welcome to World Have Your Say on the day of the royal wedding. Well, Prince William and Kate Middleton are married. They've become the Duke and the Duchess of Cambridge. And I know that millions of you watched the service and the procession which passed by here on its way to Buckingham Palace. And as you'd expect, this is by far the most talked about subject in the world. If you want to tell us how and where you watched and what you made of it all, we're live, and wherever you are, you're very welcome to get involved. We're going to travel to Lebanon, Sweden and Peru in the next few minutes. But perhaps before we do anything else, we should look back at an extraordinary few hours. Well, there were 1,900 guests who joined Kate Middleton and Prince William at Westminster Abbey. Some of them were there over 2 hours before the service began, but they wouldn't have minded the wait. And as Kate Middleton came into the Abbey, she was accompanied by the coronation anthem, "I Was Glad," by Sir Charles Hubert Hastings Parry. And as I'm sure you saw on BBC World News, there were the great and the good amongst those 1,900. David Cameron, the British Prime Minister, along with David Beckham, Elton John and many other guests. And can these two ever have imagined that this day would come when they first met at St Andrews University all those years ago? 500,000 people turned out in London to see them, and there were 5,000 street parties all over the UK. Well, when the service had come to an end, they headed out in their carriage along the streets, about a 15-minute journey from Westminster Abbey to Buckingham Palace, cheered all the way, as you would imagine. And as they were approaching the palace, we actually had a flypast from Lancaster, Spitfire and Hurricane aircraft, who also got an absolutely huge cheer from the crowds. Well, welcome back here to Buckingham Palace. As you can see, I've got some company since you last saw me. Fernando's here from Colombia. Nice to see you, Fernando.
Nice to see you too. I'm half Colombian, half British.
Okay, and obviously you've dressed down for the occasion. How long have you been working on your outfit?
Well, I have everything planned ahead, but I just have yesterday off. So the whole day, basically, I go in the afternoon to the shops. I bought everything I have to board, and made some Irish coffee. I was watching BBC One and doing my costume. It took me until 5 in the morning, and 5 in the morning I go here.
Irish coffee, BBC television is a potent combination. Now, you've got your sign, it says it all, "I love Kate." Why do you feel so strongly about Kate Middleton, of course, now the Duchess of Cambridge?
Right. Oh, that's news for me. Thank you. Well, she's an inspiration for all of us. She's a beautiful woman. It's young, it's fresh. It could have been me, as the teacher says. So it's an inspiration for everyone. You can see that she loves Will so much, and they represent our future, you know?
Well, it's been great to meet you. Thanks very much for coming along. I'll let you get back to the party.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, that's Fernando, half Colombian, half British. He wants to say goodbye to you. I can see here that Amy Georgina has tweeted us saying, "Oh my goodness, she looks absolutely amazing, almost Grace Kelly-esque. I'm in tears already." And Grace Kelly was one of the subjects trending on Twitter over the past few days, including the words dashing and fascinating. Now, fascinating is a word I didn't know at the beginning of the day. I certainly do now, and if I'd known about it, I'd probably have put one in my hair for this programme. Anyway, let's bring in a couple more guests here. First of all, Frida is with us from Stockholm. Hi, Frida. Did you enjoy the wedding?
Yes, it's beautiful. They're beautiful. Just watching them and remembering the last year in the Swedish wedding between Crown Princess and Daniel and that.
And how does a Swedish royal wedding compare with what we've seen today?
It's hard to compare, but I mean, it's people are partying all through the streets. It's the whole town is alive. Yeah, it's just celebrations all over. I like it.
Well, good to speak to you, Frida. You're in Stockholm. Let's shift across to Lima in Peru, because we can bring in Marina, who's a fashion photographer. Marina, welcome to World Have Your Say. I've got to ask you, if you're into fashion, what did you make of the dress?
I thought it was beautiful, not too sexy, not too conservative. It was very, very nice. I mean, I really loved it.
So you were impressed. I can see that Fashionista.com's tweeted saying every wedding dress is going to have sleeves now. We'll have to see about that. But Leslie in the UK has messaged us to say, boring dress. It looked like it came from the high street. It wasn't different enough. It was a wasted opportunity. Presumably you don't agree.
No, I think in an occasion like this one, you have to like keep the rules and stay like very, very conservative. You have to go. You cannot go that wild. So I think it was very proper.
Good to speak to you, Marina. You're live with us from Peru. Let's shift from South America to East Africa and bring in Remy, who's live here on BBC World News from Nairobi. Remy, were you watching?
I caught a few glimpses of it. I wasn't so keen on the royal wedding. My sisters and everyone else were, but personally I wasn't.
Why not? There'll be people all around the world watching, wondering why not, Remy? Tell us.
No, I just felt it was a bit overrated, a bit too much for me. And but you know, as time went on, you know, the bug caught me at least. I caught a few glimpses. I saw the entourage and I saw the famous dress. I think it was okay, but after that I didn't see much of it. But I'm happy for the British people and the British public and William and Kate. I wish them the best.
But you don't sound convinced, Remy, and that's absolutely fair enough. If you're watching BBC World News, were you glued to the service and the procession all the way to Buckingham Palace, or are you a little indifferent like Remy? You can phone us up and speak to us live. It's country code 44 2070 83 72 72. Let me look at a couple more messages here. Derek in Utah has got in touch to say, who's William, who's Kate? Oh, that's right, two people who don't hold any power or do anything other than pretend to be royal. How do you say it in England? Rubbish. Well, this whole ordeal is rubbish. Well, Derek, we can debate the rights and wrongs of what you say. They're definitely royal, though. That's beyond dispute. Frida, come in here and speak to us from Stockholm. If Derek's still watching, tell us why we should still care about royal families, such as the one who live in this enormous palace behind me.
I just think it's tradition. I think we should keep the traditions, and it would be a waste to throw them away just because people are modern, and they're not just representing our countries, they're also entertaining us. With the social things going on, the scandals and the romance and the weddings. So I definitely think we should keep them, for good and bad.
You say keep them, and as you're talking, people can probably hear on my microphone a brown helicopter just going overhead. There was an enormous yellow helicopter about 10 minutes ago from the Royal Air Force, and of course the Royal Air Force has a lot of ties with the British royal family. Marina in Peru, there might be some people watching us surprised that Peruvians could care less about the British royal family. Why are you so enthusiastic about them? Why does it matter?
Well, I think it's more to watch the famous, the fairy tale around the story. I mean, here it started at 4 a.m. in the morning, so I don't think much of the Peruvian people woke up at that time. But I would bet a couple of them did. They really care about to see, you know, the celebrities going in. It's more of the show around the royal wedding than the really story about the monarchy in England.
It's interesting you use the word story. So many people I've spoken to today in central London have said this is the next chapter in a story they've been following for all of their lives. And here are two women I'm feeling distinctly underdressed on today's edition. First, Fernando, who really stole the show, but Gillian's here and so is Jamie. Very nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for dressing up. I suspect not for us, but for the royal wedding.
Yes,
what brought you to
absolutely.
town? Did you come especially for it?
This is my second royal wedding. I was here for Charles and Diana's wedding and couldn't miss this.
Why not? Some people, like Remy in Nairobi we're speaking to, just don't quite get it. Tell us why it's moving you.
Just the hope and the whole romance and fairy tale. I think we all need that.
And what about you? It's interesting that you talk about hope and romance. Did it live up to its billing? Because that's what everyone wanted. Did it deliver for you?
I think it did, but just not today. As you can hear from the accent, I'm actually a Brummie. I was born in Birmingham, and I've lived in Calgary for 21 years. And love everything associated with the royal family. I haven't followed them too closely through the years, but really believe that William and Kate represent something new for the royal family that was started with Diana.
It was interesting. Charles didn't wave at the crowd. I was right down at Westminster Abbey. He didn't wave at the crowd. The Queen didn't wave, but Kate turned around several times, didn't she?
Yes, she looked right at us, actually. Yes. They're coming to Calgary, Alberta, Canada as their first visit.
And I think I can guess two people who might be in the crowd.
That's right.
Stay there, because I've got an email here from Kamara in Sierra Leone. Let's pull this up on the screen. He says, when I look at the budget for the royal wedding, which is $32 million, and reflect on my country where people still live below $1 a day, I feel sick. I mean, what would you say to Kamara if he's still watching? Do you think this is money well spent? Can we justify this kind of lavish expenditure?
Absolutely well spent. We all need to invest in how good we're feeling today, all around the world. I think they are tremendous for the world, to show the strength of the royal family, and I actually think this is going to bring Britain together enormously in a time when it needs to have something to bring it together. Times are difficult throughout the world, and they're difficult here in their own way too.
Well, thanks for responding to that point. Kamara, thanks for getting in touch. Let's bring back Remy in Nairobi. Remy, we know you're not convinced, but can you understand why the British government and the royal family have spent so much money on today?
I can, because I understand the royal family are part of British. They're steeped in history. They're part of the British culture, and I totally understand why they splash out on William. William himself going to be king. It's important for the British people. As I said, I'm happy for the British people and William and Kate and for the new Duchess of Cambridge. But personally, as a Kenyan living here in Nairobi, I'm not really into it. You see, we have all our own issues and all that, and I wasn't as keen as it to follow the wedding and the procession, but I'm happy for them. But the rest of my family, my sisters and everyone else, they were keen to see the dress so that they can replicate it and all that. So even they were enthusiastic, but personally, I still I wasn't that into it. I saw a few glimpses, but that's it. Yeah.
Remy, thanks for responding to that point. By the way, if you're watching BBC World News, wherever you are in the world, if you want to call up and tell us how you watched the royal wedding and what you made of it, the number is country code 44 2070 83 72 72. I'm going to ask Jamie and Gillian to stay right here because, believe it or not, we're getting lots of tweets about hats and what is this British thing with wearing hats at weddings. So we'll talk about that and lots of other things besides after a short break here on BBC World News. Hi, this is Ros Atkins with you live on BBC World News. Welcome to World Have Your Say. Of course, there's only one thing we're talking about today. If you went onto Twitter, you would have seen the top 10 trending subjects in the past few hours were all relating to the royal wedding. And I'm standing here just by Buckingham Palace, which is where, well, I was going to say Prince William and Kate Middleton. We don't call them that anymore. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, because they've been married and given that title by the Queen. They're enjoying a reception with about 600 or so guests in there. Don't worry, it's not the only reception. They've got another one back at the palace later on with 300 guests, and I'm getting so excited about that reception. I'm manhandling our Canadians' hats, but it's coincidental that I touched your hats there because lots of people are tweeting about this British thing of wearing hats. Let me read you this. Sly Pig Jeff says, so I just caught a glimpse on the news. Are these hats some sort of inside joke that England plays on the rest of the world? And Anne Runs on Twitter says, I'm going to come right out and say this, America misses the boat on not keeping hats in fashion. The Brits are way cooler than us. Is she right?
We agree.
You agree?
Yes. And we brought our white Stetsons from Calgary.
Not classic wedding hats, though.
No, we wanted to talk about Canada and tell people about Calgary.
Okay, but what did you make of the fact that so many of the guests were wearing these very grand hats? It is a British thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you like it, or is it a bit much for you?
Love it.
Love it?
I absolutely love it. I grew up with it. Every wedding I've been to in England, I've worn a hat. I wore a hat when I was married.
it's just a tradition. I think it dates back for such a long time.
I can only apologise I haven't got one on.
We'll bring you a white hat next time.
Very nice to meet you, Jamie and
Yes.
Gillian. Thank you very much for coming
you.
along. And if you can hear these cheers in the background, it's primarily because people are just very, very excited to be here. But every so often a helicopter goes across, or I'm part of a huge media section here, and there are lots of different broadcasts. And when the crowd over there spot one guest or another guest, there's a big cheer as well. But the main reason they're hanging around is they're hoping to see the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge when they leave Buckingham Palace in the next hour or two. Now, if you want to phone us up, it's country code 44 2070 83 72 72. We want to hear how and where you watched the royal wedding, if indeed you did watch it, or if you just absolutely had your fill of it like Remy in Nairobi and want no more, you're also welcome on the programme. Country code 44 2070 83 72 72. Now, we've said goodbye to Frida in Stockholm, Marina in Peru. Many thanks to the two of you. But let's bring in Rana, who's in Beirut in Lebanon. Rana, where did you watch it and how did you find it? Hi.
Well, I watched bits of it, to be honest. I thought it was nice. I was happy to see that in part of the world there's still genuine love and happiness. The British people and the tourists look happy. But I want to be honest with you, and I was also watching most of the time and online, unfortunately, another kind of wedding, the wedding of freedom in Syria, and I was a bit more concerned by that matter over here. Although I do understand that in Britain you have, like, this is the headline right now, but we were very much, like for us, for the wedding, we were following how the Syrian ambassador's invitation was withdrawn, and frankly, I saw the dress of Kate Middleton, and I thought it was beautiful. But then I have to be honest, I was watching something that touches me more, and it was another kind of wedding. I would say it was the wedding of freedom in Syria, and that was my concern for the day.
And I'm sure people could understand that. And by the way, wherever you're watching, if you do want to know what's going on in Syria, don't worry, BBC World News is not turning its back on everything else that's going on in the world. We'll have the latest from Syria as well over the next few hours. Now, I'm here just by Buckingham Palace. Let's bring in Chloe Tilley from the World Have Your Say team, who's elsewhere in central London. Where have you gone to, Chloe?
Well, Ros, we spent the last 9 hours just on the Mall, very close to Buckingham Palace. I have to say, it's been an incredible day. Several highlights for me, one of which was when we joined the throng of people who walked down the Mall to look down by the balcony and see that kiss. We were probably about 50 metres away. The cacophony of noise was absolutely tremendous. Latest estimates put about 500,000 people on the Mall today. Some people are saying 1 million on the streets of London throughout the day. The next highlight has to be about 10 or 15 minutes ago, just behind me here. You'll see that the crowds are starting to just melee across the road, but Prince William, or William and Kate as we should perhaps call them, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, drove past us in the most beautiful soft top Aston Martin. It was all decked out in balloons, in ribbons. It got the number plate just wet. It was a beautiful moment, very understated for the royals, and something lots of people weren't expecting. Those are my personal highlights. There's lots of people here who've been standing here all day, and I understand, madam, you've almost turned into a bit of a stalker. You have seen Kate so many times today.
Yes, we have. We saw her at the Abbey, at Whitehall. We went through James Park down to Buckingham Palace, saw her there, and here. We've had a lovely time. It's been the best day and a wonderful trip to come over and see Katie, all this way from Australia.
Because you are from Australia.
I'm one of those, yes, I'm an Aussie. Hi everyone at home. I'm from a teeny weeny town called Hughenden in the middle of Australia. And I hope everyone's having a good time because I am.
Well, personal highlights. I mentioned the kiss on the balcony was a phenomenal moment.
Unbelievable. That's definitely for me. And the two kisses, because obviously one wasn't enough for us, but it was amazing, absolutely amazing. No, I loved it. Yeah, the kiss on the balcony was great.
As we were standing down there, it was funny. We were wrapped up in the crowd, and everyone was chanting "kiss, kiss,
Yeah,
kiss."
yeah.
It was really relaxed, actually, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And they were quite nicely obliged as well. And their little treat at the end was just great. That Aston Martin really topped the end of the day.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I have to say, I was only 4 when Diana and Charles got married. I didn't quite know what to expect today, but I've been 3 metres from the couple as they drove past in their Aston Martin. I have to be honest, it blew me away.
Thanks very much indeed, Chloe. Thanks to all of the people that you were speaking with. Now, we've heard from a lot of people here in London, the English and the UK capital, of course, but let's go elsewhere in the country and speak to Wynne, who joins us from Bucklebury, which is Kate Middleton's home village. And we've also got Tommy, who's with us from Lincoln. Well, Tommy, let me start with you. Have you been moved and glued to the screen all day?
No, I haven't at all, to be honest. The first I've caught of it was when I was sitting in the reception outside waiting to come in to speak to you. That's the first I've seen of it. I've been listening to a football radio show all afternoon.
Tell us why.
I beg your pardon?
Tell us why you haven't been tuning in. Most people in this country have been, so why have you decided not to?
Oh, well, you know, it's all you've heard about in the news for the last 2 or 3 weeks. You know, I feel like I've already had enough royal wedding for a lifetime, to be honest. I am a Republican. In any case, I'd get rid of the royal family tomorrow if we could. So from that point of view, you know, it was never going to be a thing of much interest to me. So, you know, I just haven't been interested at all.
Fair enough. Stay with us, Tommy, because we've got Wynne with us from Bucklebury. Wynne, are you a little bit more enthusiastic than Tommy?
Well, here we're having the most amazing day. Yes, we are. And Bucklebury is celebrating with the biggest party I think the village will ever see. And we're all having an amazing time. So it's great.
And to people like Tommy, and there are other viewers around the world making this point, how do you explain why a royal family is relevant to 21st century life in Britain?
Well, I think as a lot of people have said in the press, you know, it's quite nice to not have a politician as head of the country. It's quite nice to have our royal family. And we'd rather have them than some of the other political leaders in the world. And I think I agree. I think lots of people agree with that, including me.
And Wynne, just before I let you go, do you know Kate?
No, not really. The family are very private and we all protect their privacy enormously, so I've only met her in passing a couple of times.
Fair enough. Thank you very much for speaking to us, Wynne. We appreciate it. Wynne was in Kate Middleton's home village of Bucklebury. Of course, I should really be saying the Duchess of Cambridge from now on. Now, there's a couple of guests joining me, again wearing fantastic headgear with flags and everything. Nice to see you both. What are your names?
John.
John?
Matt.
John and Matt, great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you.
You've got your flag, you've got everything. You say you love London, you're even coordinated. Why are you doing this? Why are you so passionate?
Actually, we're doing this because this is once in a lifetime for us. Because we don't know if we could still witness this kind of event, or because this is a historic event that, you know.
We've got big grins on your face, so the day's obviously gone well, but what was the best moment for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed the weather and I enjoyed the parade and the people cheering for the newlywed, and I wish for them a happy.
And are you hanging around in case you might see them again?
Yes, actually, we've been here since 7 o'clock in the morning.
7 o'clock?
Yes, I know.
That's impressive. Nice to meet you. Thanks very much indeed. We've got calls coming in from Canada, from Kenya, from the Bahamas. Keep them coming on country code 44 20 70 83 72 72. I'm Ross Atkins. Welcome to World Have Your Say on the day of the royal wedding. And as I'm sure you know, Prince William and Kate Middleton are married and have become the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. Now, millions of you watched the service and the procession to Buckingham Palace, which is just behind me here. And as you'd expect, this is by far the most talked about subject in the world. And over the next 30 minutes, we're going to hear what you've all made of it. And you can get in touch all of the usual ways. But before we hear from some of you, let's take a couple of minutes to look back on an extraordinary day. There were 1,900 guests in total who attended the service in Westminster Abbey. I was down there and they were arriving very early, some of them even 2 hours before the service began, but they wouldn't have minded waiting one little bit. And when eventually Kate Middleton arrived, she walked down the aisle to the coronation anthem, "I Was Glad," by Sir Charles Hubert Hastings Parry. And while they weren't doing this in the Abbey outside, the crowds were cheering her all the way down the aisle. And the people there weren't just politicians and ambassadors, also a fair few celebrities as well, such as David Beckham and Elton John. And after everything had been done and the ring had been put on Kate Middleton's finger, after just a little bit of trouble there for Prince William, he won't have minded that either. Actually, the ring was made of Welsh gold, donated to him by the Queen just before they announced the engagement. Well, after they were declared man and wife, they headed out of the Abbey, of course, to cheering crowds, and they had about a 15-minute ride all the way from Westminster Abbey, down Whitehall, down the Mall, to Buckingham Palace. It took about 15 seconds, cheered all the way, people absolutely enthralled, in particular of the outfit that Kate Middleton was wearing. And then, of course, it was all about the kiss, and they duly delivered, with not just one, but two kisses, being greeted by huge cheers by tens of thousands of people stretching away. And to be honest, most of those tens of thousands of people are still here, even though Prince William and Kate Middleton, or the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, as we should call them now, they're inside with about 600 guests. Actually, everyone is still very much hoping they might get another glimpse before the day is out, so people are mingling around and enjoying the sunshine, because there was so much speculation about whether it was rain. I saw a forecast yesterday which said likely showers. Now, at about 4:30 local time in the afternoon, no sign of it. It's an absolutely gorgeous early summer's day for the royal wedding. Well, let's begin our conversation on World Have Your Say in Beirut and also in New York. But first of all, we're going to go to UAE and speak to Jay. And Jay, you're having a party. How's it going?
Oh, it's fantastic. We're having a great time here with a whole lot of people from all over the world.
Sounds like you've splashed out on some party poppers and some party gear as well. What was the highlight of the day for you?
Just seeing the joyous crowds and just how happy everybody was. After all the trouble that's been happening in the world with natural disasters and everything, it was just fantastic to see everyone so happy and celebrating, and especially that wave of people walking down the mall after the whole thing was over. It was fantastic.
The mall. And Jay, I have to say, I was down by the Abbey when all of the royal family arrived. Prince Charles didn't wave at the crowd, the Queen didn't wave at the crowd, but Kate Middleton did. Is this a sign that the royal family is getting it, that it is beginning to modernise slowly?
Definitely, but she was very relaxed, I thought. She was in control. I thought she was more relaxed than William was. But, and a lot more relaxed than we were. We've been partying for 7.5 hours now, so it's been fantastic.
Well, it's been very good to speak to you. It's been very good to speak to you, Jay. You're in UAE. I can see a tweet here from Ahad who says, I'm in Pakistan. I just wish I was there with you. Nabeen's in Nepal who says, happy wedding, Will and Kate. And Kingsley says, I'm from Cameroon. I'm listening to the wedding on my radio in my office. Well, good to hear from all of you. Let's shift across to New York and speak to Barbara, who's at a street party in Greenwich Village. And Barbara, you're wearing a hat. There's been lots of talk about wedding hats. I'm assuming you approve of all these hats that we've seen.
Yes, I brought this hat with me from Wilmington, North Carolina, especially for the wedding.
Well, that's fantastic. And what's the party been like? It must have started very, very early.
Yes, we've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, and it's been a ball. We've been going all morning and getting ready to have a champagne lunch.
Stay with us if you can. We're getting calls from Sri Lanka and from Malawi as well. If you'd like to call us up and tell us whether you watched the royal wedding, whether you could care about it, and what you thought of the whole day, the number to call is country code 44 2070 83 72 72. We're going to go back to Barbara in New York in a moment, but let's shift to Rana, who's in Beirut. Rana, some people have been messaging us here at the BBC and saying, we don't understand how the royal family fits into modern British life. Do you feel that today has explained it to you?
Listen, coming from a person living in this region, I would say as long as your citizens have the freedom to do whatever they want and have the chance to choose their leaders and have the chance to live, I think it's their concern. I think Kate and William were, they looked really modern, but also they still fit in the royalty scenario. For me, and my concerns, and I will hate to say that, but I wish I would have this concern over here in this part of the world. And I wish I would spend one day, the biggest concern would be how was it as a wedding, whether it's a president or a king or a prince or whatever. So I can't really relate to that very much. I don't want to be a party pooper. I really understand and I appreciate that there are people my age today that have been in Hyde Park, that have been happy about that. But also they have to understand that in this part of the world, we have other concerns, and we are changing our destiny today to one day be able to have less problems and less concerns about life and death, and more about weddings and ceremonies and kids'
And I don't think anyone Rana, I don't think anyone watching you is going to think of you as a party pooper. I'm sure they can understand that you have those pressing concerns. Very good to speak to you. I can see that Faisal has just got in touch from Bangladesh to say, I'm just thinking about my wedding. I've decided I have to marry soon. So he's been inspired by William and Kate to get on with it. The thing is, Faisal, have you got someone to get married to? That's the big question. I hope that you have. Now, I was mentioning the phone number. It's country code 44 2070 83 72 72. We've had calls from 33 countries already during today's edition of World Have Your Say. Let's shift back to the World Have Your Say team who are taking your calls, and Nuala, who's with them?
Well, I'm going to update you, Roz, actually. I'm hearing in the background here that actually it's 45 countries at the moment, just in the few minutes. So if people want to get their country on the list, they should give us a call now. So some calls coming in: India, South Africa, South Korea, Gambia and Eritrea. Now, you did mention earlier, every hashtag that is trending on Twitter is related to the royal wedding. There's Duchess, Burton, the designer, of course. There's vows, aisle and snog, a very English word. So one of the most tweeted, though, is proud to be British. And it's quite interesting. Chloe mentioned the Aston Martin and that kind of event that they had leaving Buckingham Palace. Well, Jen Irishson said, what a great move. The car, the Just Wed plates, those two are knocking the stiff upper lip president on the head. And Roland in the Bahamas just called Nana. I heard him. He says, the wedding did Britain proud. Stella in Nigeria called to agree. Now, Shula Mela in Pakistan said it's setting a great example for the young. But here's one thing that's getting quite a bit of pickup. Talk show host Piers Morgan says one overriding thought watching this magnificent occasion is the British monarchy is back. John Hardy 101 tweeted us and says, listen, there's so many reasons to be proud to be British, from the Magna Carta to the NHS. Having a hereditary head of state isn't one of them. So, see what your guests think about that.
Nuala, very good to speak to you. We've just had one call from a gentleman in the Andes who says, I'm 4,000 metres up, I'm watching your coverage, and I'm thrilled to bits about the wedding. So the news is spreading far and wide. Let's bring in Jeremy, who's joining us from Bucklebury. Now, this is a village that a few weeks ago, probably the vast majority of people in England wouldn't have heard of, let alone around the world. But this wedding certainly put it on the map. It's where Kate Middleton grew up, and there's been a huge party there today, which Jeremy has been attending. Hi, Jeremy. How have things been going?
Things have been going fantastically. It's been a lovely party and a great gathering of the whole parish.
And we've got a message here from a listener who says, did I hear them say for richer, for poorer in the vows? How on earth are these guys ever going to get poorer? And there is a perception among some of our viewers that this is just something for the elite in the UK and that they don't understand why everyone else gets excited about it. Can you respond to that?
I think that it's just wonderful. The monarchy do a very good job, and they're a nice titular head. I think many of us, or most of us, would prefer this to having a dictator.
And what's going to happen this evening? Is the party going on into the night?
The party's going on here certainly until the evening, and then later on there's another big party up in Upper Bucklebury, which is all part of the same parish, where there's a big fireworks display and everything, and it'll go on, I expect, well into the night.
Well, it's very good to speak to you, and it's interesting you mentioned you've got two parties, because there's been a party here at Buckingham Palace this afternoon, a reception for about 600 guests, but later on, after the Queen's gone, the Queen's vacating Buckingham Palace this evening, Prince William and Kate Middleton, or the Duchess and Duke of Cambridge, are going to be back having another party for just 300 of their friends. They're going to be in there well into the night. Now, we've got guests in Beirut and in Nairobi and in Greenwich Village in New York. If you want to join them wherever you are, the number to call is country code 44 2070 83 72 72. Let's quickly go back to Barbara, because Barbara, you obviously got an early start. So how long will this party go on? Barbara, I was just wondering, I don't know if you can hear me, how long your party's going to carry on for? Will it go right through into the evening?
The party's here. We're having parties all day in New York. There's going to be a party in the Greenwich Village area in the park, and then we're just going to parade about town in our hats and be royal all day.
It's been lovely to speak to you, Barbara, and lovely to see your hat as well. Thank you very much indeed for your company. Now, we're going to take a break for a couple of minutes here on BBC World News, but if you want to talk about the royal wedding, whatever your view of it, this is the place to do it. We're live down by Buckingham Palace, and you're very welcome to get in touch. Hi, this is Ros Atkins, continuing BBC World News' live coverage of the royal wedding day here in London. This is World Have Your Say as well, so wherever you're watching, if you want to tell us what you've made of proceedings, you're very welcome to get in touch. In a moment, we're going to speak to Nicole, who's been reporting on the events for the Insider.com, and as you can see, you're having a big debate, weren't you, about whether to wear your Union Jack hat or your Union Jack top, and in fact, you've just gone for one, but it's not really understated.
Right, yeah, I've been in the hat all day, so I figured the shirt's fine for now.
All right, well, listen, before I ask you a couple of questions, let's pull up a message that we got from Mahawa in Liberia. He posted on facebook.com/World Have Your Say to say, I love the royal wedding. I love that amid all the chaos, there's so much bliss going on in that corner of the world. Let's be happy for them. And Nicole, quite a few of our viewers have said, this is a break from, there's a lot of serious news at the moment. We like a break from this.
Definitely. I mean, it's a form of escapism. I mean, it's really just a joyous time to see. It's a fairy tale come true. And especially in America, I think that, I mean, all over the world, there's so much bad news. And this has really been a time of excitement and of celebration. And just being here and watching from home, it's got to put a big smile on your face.
And one person's name who's coming up a lot, and of course we knew this would happen, is Diana's. Here's a message from South Africa saying, I'm watching from South Africa. Diana would have been so proud. And Earl Spencer, after the service, said it was a wonderful service, but the only downside was that Diana wasn't there. Have you heard people talk about that on the streets?
Definitely. I mean, everybody's bringing that up, and with how perfectly and how beautiful everything was today, it really was the only downside. And on the streets, it's definitely been a constant reminder of Diana and everything that she meant to everyone here.
Very nice to meet you. I'll let you get back to it, let you get your hat back on as well. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, we've guests in UAE. We'll go to Jay in a moment. We're also going to speak to Remy, who's live with us from Nairobi. But first of all, let's bring in Tommy, who's in Lincoln in England, because Tommy, I know you were telling me a bit earlier that you haven't even seen any of the wedding until you came in the studio to speak to us. So why the disinterest in the wedding? Why don't you want a royal family in your country?
Well, I just think that we should have moved on from having a royal family by now. I mean, every other country around the world pretty much that had a royal family at some point has got rid of them because they decided they don't need this hereditary system interfering in the way their country is run, and that's a position I totally agree with.
In what way does it interrupt with the way the country's run? Because, of course, the royal family have no influence over what happens in the House of Commons just down the road from Buckingham Palace.
No, I don't think that's true at all. I mean, I was just chatting with with one of the staff here about how Prince Charles interferes with just about every area of government policy he can find his way into. You know, he writes letters to ministers. He places pressure on civil servants that he meets. This is what we read about in the newspaper, and you know, he tries to influence decisions that he doesn't have any technical or any experience in. So I think they do interfere, and I think it's very dangerous.
All right, you say it's dangerous. Jay, you're having a party for the royal wedding in Abu Dhabi. Why don't you think it's dangerous?
What I don't think is dangerous, sorry?
Why don't you think it's dangerous to have a royal family? Why do you think it's a positive thing rather than a negative for Britain?
I don't think you can question what happened today. It's just brought just such a positive feeling to the whole world.
If you'd been a politician, you wouldn't have had 2 billion people watching the wedding. There wouldn't have been the worldwide interest coming to England to see it, all the benefits of tourism. So I think it was great.
That's an interesting point, Jay, the fact that this is really Britain broadcasting to the world, showing what it can do. Let's bring in Remy, who's in Nairobi. Remy, when you watch the royal wedding, does it affect how you think about the UK?
It does. For me, it shows continuity, basically. I see how you've preserved history and how the UK has maintained it up to this time. Most people couldn't stand royal families until this period, and I've seen the way the UK has maintained the royal family and kept it. And for me, it's amazing because, I mean, you must be very tolerant like people, but it's a great thing. I think it was a good spectacle for Britain, and it was a proud moment for you, also for Kenya, because you know William and Kate, they proposed in Leo over here, just down the Mount Kenya. That was a great. Yeah, so even Kenya was also highlighted. So it was. So
yeah, I think it's fair to say. I don't think the Kenyan Tourist Board were complaining when that news emerged. Very good to speak to you, Remy. I know that we've just had calls in from China and from Bangladesh. Keep them coming. We've heard from almost 50 countries in the past hour here on BBC World News. Now, let's shift our conversation to Beirut because Rana is still with us. Rana, will what you've seen on the television today affect how you think about Britain?
Well, I'm not a big fan of royalty systems myself. However, I've never, like during my short life, I think that they're not really governing the country, but it's more of a image of Britain. And if the British people are happy with it, it's their decision after all. Of course, when you inherit something, yeah.
Sorry, Ron, I'm curious, I am hearing you, but what image do you get? This is what I'm interested in. What image is this wedding giving you of Britain?
Well, I think it was a joyful atmosphere. I think Britain it has a big history in royalties, and I can feel it. I can feel like it has a depth when it comes to history and culture and tradition. And this is what I felt today. I don't mind it as long as it's not direct interference in politics or in foreign policies or whatever. So I thought it was, I didn't mind it.
Well, it's interesting that you're talking about British identity. Remy brought it up as well, and we're getting lots of calls on this issue, the connection between British identity and this royal wedding. Let's shift back to Nuala with the World Have Your Say team to hear more on that issue.
Well, I am just hearing another couple of countries as well. Why don't I throw them in? Martin just mentioned that Thailand's calling in, and I see the Maldives coming in to Tim there. You were just talking about Princess Diana. Idris in Ethiopia says their mother did wonderful stuff for the country. The boys deserve this day, reflecting well on Britain. Claudette in Kingston, Jamaica says, I'm very proud that Britain is part of my identity and culture. My great-grandparents were called William and Catherine. Tracy in Uganda says, great couple, beautiful garment. I'm going to get the same made for my wedding in December. Jason from the Republic of Palau said, congrats to the couple. And Anar in Vancouver, I'm really proud to be part of the Commonwealth. I think today shows unity and love.
Nuala, thank you very much indeed for all of those comments. Let's go back to Tommy in Lincoln, who has been expressing his scepticism. Tommy, when you hear all of these people around the world saying this day is affecting how they perceive your country. That doesn't persuade you that this maybe has some role to play?
No, I think it's nice. It's nice to hear about people around the world looking at Britain and seeing some of the positives. But I think it's also fair to say there'll be people around the world looking at Britain saying, well, the economy is in a terrible state, the roads are full of holes, hospitals are worried about their funding, and yet they've decided to give everyone the day off work and have a massive royal wedding that's going to cost tens of millions of pounds. So I think a lot of people around the world will be looking at Britain and thinking, have they gone mad?
Okay, well, I think the majority of people watching this programme don't think it's mad to be enthusiastic about the royal wedding, but you aren't on your own. There are still lots of people saying, we're not so sure about this. Pet has just got in touch, and so many other people have said this kind of message saying, oh, as soon as I saw Kate, I just completely went to bits and started crying, and lots of you have suggested maybe she was a lot calmer than some of you who were watching. Jay, in UAE, is that how you felt? Were you nervous for them at the beginning of the service?
Yes, I was nervous for them because I saw William, but as soon as I saw Kate, she was so calm and just serene. Just so elegant.
And it's quite a lot later where you are than where I am. How long can you keep this party going with all your friends there?
As long as you can. At least for 4 hours. We haven't run out of pens yet, so we're going to keep on going.
We girls know how to party here, especially the Aussies.
And we're also
Well, it's been great to speak to you. Let me shift one last time back to Remy in Nairobi. Remy, they got engaged in Kenya. Would you like the happy couple to pay a visit to your country soon?
Sure. They should come over. The William and Kate should come over. Everyone in the world, everyone listening. They should all come. I'd love them to pay a visit to Kenya, and I wish them all the best in their wedding.
And I think everyone behind me would agree that with your best wishes to William and to Kate as they continue their wedding day. Many thanks to Rana in Beirut, Jay in UAE, Tommy in Lincoln, Remy in Nairobi. And we've heard from over 50 countries in the past hour here on BBC World News. To all of you who have called up, thank you very much. I know we've run out of time here. We'll be back at 18:30 GMT for World Have Your Say Extra.